Happy Hour. We're answering a few questions after a couple weeks off. Can Kirk Cousins lead us to the promised land? And can Bradbury be a competent center with competent guard play? Grab your Lake Monster beer and find out the answers to those questions.
Welcome to Vikings Happy Hour, where we mix our favorite beverage and talk of your Minnesota Vikings.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Vikings Happy Hour. I am your host, Matt Anderson, with my co-host, Ryan Ortega, and producer, Dave. It has been a bit since we've done this. Life has gotten busy. People have been sick, but alas, here we are, almost 3 weeks later, a full month, as Dave says. We're back. We're ready to talk the Vikings in arguably probably the slowest time of year. But before we get to that, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you guys how you were doing. I mean, it's not. I know we've had like some exchanges back and forth, but we really haven't even talked in the past few weeks either. It's mainly been just quick little updates of, hey, can't do the show, here's why. So Ryan, I'll start with you. How are you doing, man?
Yeah, I'm doing well. So I had a work trip a couple weeks back, so I was gonna miss that show. I think we ended up canceling anyway because our guest kind of fell through. But week after was last week. Ended up coming down with COVID, so I thought I was gonna be able to avoid it this whole time, and I just finally got me here near the. Well, I don't think it's near the end. I think there's just another roundup coming around right now. So
Right.
honestly, felt pretty good through that though. I mean, I had a couple of like those cold sweats or whatever you want to call them
Yeah.
last Tuesday, Wednesday night. But outside of that, it's been pretty mild. And so I'm pretty thankful for that. Probably thank that vaccine for that. I'm sure that's helped quite a bit. Controversy here, but no. And
As it
yeah,
costs.
yeah, right. But yeah, been doing pretty well otherwise, just trying to, mitigate that in the household as much as possible with these kids.
Well, like I said pre-show, I'm glad you're doing all right now. It's good to be back here talking, and um, yeah, I'm excited for tonight's show. So, Dave, how have you been? You still been working? I know Tyler's show's still going
Mhm.
on Mondays. I think Flip and Eric has still had a couple shows here and there, but
They
and
have.
yourself on your Saturday shows, you've been staying consistent. But how have you been?
Saturday
Uh,
shows popping always. I love it.
Yes,
oh,
two old bloggers are rocking, baby. Um, no, we're doing good. We're doing a little tweaks to the channel. Some people may notice, they may not, but we're doing a little tweaks to the channel as we prepare over this long summer break to get ready for the season because that's our primary time that we hit the ground running and have the 6 shows a week plus. But I'm doing good. I get some time to work on a little artwork today, as you guys saw.
yeah.
I'll post it up
Yeah,
on the
it's
YouTube
fire.
page tomorrow, and, it's been a good time. Been a good time.
Awesome.
Weather's great. Love it.
Yeah, I mean, this time of year, especially when it comes to football, like it's renewed hope in your franchise. The draft is done. You're kind of starting to see these highlight reels with these guys in shorts making cool catches. I think I just saw a Justin Ross one with Kansas City earlier today. Um, and so it's a strange time when it comes to podcasting because there's not a lot of news surrounding the team, but it's a fun time because we can speculate and have chat about a bunch of the potential. So that leads me to one of my questions tonight
Well, I got one
for
for
you.
you first.
Oh, you're gonna. All right, go for it.
What happened to the green wall?
Well, we painted it, so we are moving out of the apartment into the house. So we got some primer on it, and we're getting ready to move out. So
Have you
maybe
got plans for the new studio at the house?
uh, I don't even think I've picked the room yet, Dave. Um,
Oh,
but
come on. This is stuff I dream about.
but as producer, I will be consulting you um, in everything to make sure that it's the best possible view we can have. Overhead lights, 4K camera, you got it.
Sweet.
You'll be consulted. So just got some other house projects now to take care of. But
Uh,
um,
but let's talk about the rookies. You guys haven't had a show since the draft where we've talked about the rookies.
has it? Well, that's not necessarily true because we had a Reef Hassan on and we
Well,
covered
that's
all
true. We
those
had a
guys.
reef. A reef's awesome.
But let's start there. Let's start there. That was one of my three questions. Is the rookies, and I think as a fan, right, you have these expectations of these rookies to come in and compete and be impactful. At least that's, best case scenario. But in reality, a lot of times, rookies aren't big contributors um, to NFL teams right away, unless you're a first or second round pick or it's an immediate need on your roster. They're really not going to make a solid impact. And I think Viking fans may be a little bit more jaded having. I think it's either near the top or the top amount of draft picks in the last handful of years, with almost the least amount of contribution. So Viking fans are jaded, but with a new regime, new drafting style, kind of. Ryan, should fans be hopeful for guys like Lewis Seen, Andrew Booth, Ed Ingram, you name it? Should they be hopeful that these guys can step in and contribute day one, or should we temper expectations?
I mean, I think it's a bit of both, right? You want to be optimistic and believe you me that we have some really solid talent from this draft that I think are going to be able to contribute day one. I do think Lewis Seen's going to be able to do so. He does have to beat out Cam Bynum, who I think in limited play last year was pretty solid. So I mean, you do have a little bit of an uphill battle to climb there, but eventually, you're not going to see a lot of smoke around him beating him out right away. You got to earn your keeps, right? But eventually, I think you will see Seen take that role from Bynum. But I do think you're going to see a lot of three safety looks when applicable there. Andrew Booth, like I said, on the show after the draft, as well as during the draft, I was very pumped. Andrew Booth was a guy I was comfortable taking at 12. I know that was an overdraft if you would have, obviously, but I was high on him. I think he's one of the best pure corners in this draft. Of course, he has some injury concerns, but who doesn't? Like, everyone seems like they're coming out of college with one injury hiccup here or there. Booth's been nicked up quite a bit, so there is some valid concerns there. But from an on-field production standpoint, when he does play, he's top notch, and I think you should expect a lot from him in year one. Of course, is he going to struggle? He's a rookie; they all do. But I think that he's going to be able to pick it up quickly and be able to contribute year one. Once you start getting a little bit further down here, I know Ed Ingram was selected in the second. I always want to temper expectations with linemen, just because the learning curve. You can step in and be day one contributors. We've seen that with like Creed Humphrey and Trey Smith last year for the Chiefs. But you really got to earn that. And we brought in some solid competition with Jesse Davis and what's the other guy's name?
Reed.
Dave. Chris Reed, that's right. That's solid competition there at right guard. So I think Ed Ingram is going to legitimately have to earn it. And then my boy Brian Asamoah, he's got a huge uphill battle to climb because you do have two legitimate starters on that team with Jordan Hicks and Eric Hendricks. So I think you're going to see Asamoah make some big splash plays in the special teams play. And then when he does get his opportunities, he is really going to be able to shine. And I think he's going to be a solid contributor. One of the things that I want to kind of keep in mind there for everyone listening is the fact that we are essentially getting two rookie classes out of this class. We did not see anything from any of the rookies outside of Darisaw and again, Bynum a little bit, right? Last year, to really warrant that understanding what that class provides at all. So you're already hearing rumors that Kellen Mond is picking up the playbook well. He's making checks at the line that maybe the coach wasn't even expecting him to make at this point in time. You're hearing things about Wyatt Davis, and I haven't heard anything about Chaz Surratt yet, but you see these guys who really we didn't see at all as rookies, and hopefully, maybe one or two of them will pop with this new regime as well. Kenny Wangu, Timothy. Yep, you're right. He splashed in the return game. So, you're getting another class, I think, of talent that's still relatively young that we just don't know much about. So hopefully you're going to get some hits from last year's class and this year's class. I think there's a lot of talent to work with.
And that's the benefit of new coaches and new regimes in general, right? Is it's a clean slate for everybody on the roster, no matter where you were standing with the last set of, coaches. And so for guys like Kellen Mond, like Wyatt Davis, who, whether or not it was justified at the time, kind of had this red flag on them that they, weren't really impressive. It's a new opportunity. But going back to just the current draft class, from just April here, I know we talked about making an impact, but what would be something that I'm trying to think of the right way to phrase this, but when you think of Lewis Cine, um, what would be an acceptable level? Whether it's like let's talk statistics wise. Would it be like a certain amount of interceptions that help this team? Would it be, a key player in the run game? How can we value or rank the rookies coming in, in what their contributions would be?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think there's a few different things that you want to look for out of each of these positions that you are going to kind of gauge whether a player played well or not, right? So at safeties, I almost look at it as more as how many mistakes did you either cover up from the cornerback standpoint, right? Like, did you erase, or how many splash plays can you make, right? So with Cine, he's a great guy because he's going to be a little bit like a Harrison Smith, in my opinion, where you can play him in the box, you can play him high. Again, you don't really want to match either of them up just like in man coverage, ideally, if you can avoid it. And if you are, it's probably with a tight end versus a receiver. But either way, you're going to get big hits. You're going to get splash plays from that perspective, and then hopefully an interception or two, right? And then again, it's the erase plays, right? When the corner, bites on a fake and Cine can cover half the field and make the play on the ball to cause an incompletion. Those are going to be the plays that we're really looking for out of him this rookie year. And again, is he going to make all of them? Probably not. Is Booth going to let somebody go past him and Cine's going to miss that assignment? They're rookies. That stuff's going to happen. But the more you see of that, or the more comfortable, or like the near misses there, those are going to be the things that I look for out of a successful campaign for Cine. Booth, again, it's going to be a little bit different. Obviously, corner, you're a little bit more on an island. So you're obviously looking at, passer rating versus them, right? You want to see that as a nice low number. Pass deflections, I think, is a little bit more important than interceptions. Obviously, you want to make those plays on the ball and pick the ball off. But if you're there and you're making the play and causing those incompletions, those are going to be huge from that perspective as well. I don't really care how many receptions you're letting up. It's more the big plays in the yards, right? Like if you're going to let up a 5-yard hitch on a 3rd and 8 and you make the tackle, great. Like that, I'm fine with that. And people will see that and be like, oh, he let up 6 catches. Well, yeah, but it was only for 38 yards. Who really cares, right?
They didn't get the first down and they had to punt. So it's
exactly
perfect.
You're right, Dave. Exactly. You just want to avoid the big plays there. And then again, Ed Ingram, you basically just don't want to hear from him, right? You want to like basically be like, oh, did he even play? Because he just did his job and he didn't get beat badly.
Oh, I want to hear. Did you see that pancake block by Ed Ingram? He just totally lifted that linebacker and pounded him into the turf. I love to hear that sort of thing.
I think
Announcers don't say that very often, but yes, you're right. I mean, obviously, if you can hear those words, that's great.
Dave says it. Dave says it from his man cave.
Oh yes.
There you go. And then guys in the later rounds like the Nailers and the again Asamoah's of the world. Again, you're just hoping to make those impact plays on special teams, whether that's a nailer big punt return, or just the fact that he didn't fumble a punt return, right, or
Yeah.
didn't make a mistake. You look at Asamoah making some big plays, maybe making a big tackle from that perspective on a punt return or kickoff return that was able to mitigate a big gain for them, right? Those are the little things from those later round guys. And then again, like I want to see these. I want to see like a surprise pick. You know what I mean? Like one of those picks that went in the later rounds or undrafted that really could make an impact play, a couple impact plays to make this like later rounds guys a little bit more memorable. They did it in with the Rams. There's a lot of players who were successful late rounds. I hope to see that we have a couple of those. Maybe I forget how to say his first name, but Evans, the corner from Missouri.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Maybe he makes a big impact, kind of like Cam Dantzler did his rookie year, right? Or or you see another impact play from one of these guys in the later rounds. I think that'd be a lot of fun to see and give fans a little bit of hope that not only are we hitting the top guys, but we're also hitting the guys in the late rounds.
Yeah, I think so. One person I point to when you want to essentially look at how rookies are doing throughout the year is, let's go back to Brian O'Neill when we first had him, and he was thrust into the Green Bay Packer game, and I thought he held up pretty well um, when he first got in there. And the one thing with O'Neill that I think a lot of rookies, it it's like a scale when you can kind of tell they're getting the game is make a mistake once and learn from that mistake and you don't see it happen again. And we saw that consistently with O'Neal to his trajectory now to, you know, I would call him an elite right tackle. Um, he would make mistakes in his rookie year and he wouldn't make them again. He would fix it and move on. And I think if we can get that from an Andrew Booth, a Lewis Seen, and Ed Ingram, three guys who I think a lot of people are expecting to maybe contribute on day one, I think that's a success. And then when you talk about the other players like um, Naylor, your Oklahoma linebacker and stuff like that, I think the key there is, to your point, can they make impact special teams plays? Because it's not going to be on the offensive defensive side of the ball unless they're lighting it up. So can they, continue to contribute on special teams and make an immediate impact there?
Or to your point, Matt, if you are thrust into a starting position, like again, Jordan Hicks or Eric Kendricks go down, Brian
Right.
Asamoah steps in, and can you make an impact play or two? And again mitigate those mistakes, see what happened on film, and correct that. Because that's what you're going to get out of these later round guys. As much as hope as I have for Asamoah, I don't expect him to be a day one starter. Is he better than Jordan Hicks? Yes, but I don't expect him to beat him out for that job right away. You got to earn your keeps, right? And so when you get that opportunity, can you make that pass deflection and coverage? Can you read that and get a tackle for loss? Can you get off a block? Because that's one thing that people are nervous about with him. Can you get off a block and run down a tackler, right? Those are things that, once you're able to get in game live situations and you can prove it, then that's success right there.
Yep. Before we shift to our next topic here, I see some people in the chat, and so just want to say thank you guys for hopping in. And I know we haven't been here for a while, so it's nice to see some familiar names in there again. And Freddie calls us out right away and says that we need some Vikings flair. So I have an excuse, Ryan. I'm moving. Things are packed away in boxes. This is literally my laptop is sitting on like the only table in our apartment. Everything else is gone. But I don't know what your excuse is.
I don't really wear Vikings gear outside of the Vikings season, and even then, it's really just on Sundays. Yeah, you're right. You know what, Freddie? Next week, I'll come with Vikings gear on. I got plenty of it upstairs. I just don't really wear it off season.
There's a solution to it.
Hats?
Oh,
Oh,
No,
no, it's
gear in the
artwork.
back. Yes, you're right. Yeah. Unlike you, Dave, I don't have an area dedicated for all of this yet. So, um,
you think I'm bad?
unlike Matt, I've been in my house for about 4 years, but I just, where are we going to put it? Basement doesn't get good internet reception, and the office is, for my
Well,
work, right? So, I don't know where to
the
flare
basement,
up
you can
the
get a
area.
booster.
Hmm.
Make those for internet, so you improve that. But if you want to see a Vikings wall, actually two, we have a fan, a great fan that watches this show almost religiously, that has a fantastic set of
Mary,
Vikings wall. Mary Fisk. She's got
yes.
some
You know what,
great
Dave?
stuff.
That gives me an idea before we go to our next topic. We should, one week, have our viewers submit in, where they watch their Vikings games from, if they have like a Vikings cave or something. And then Ryan and I, because I don't have a Vikings cave, at least not yet, we can rate them and rank which one is the best. I think that'd be fun to kill some time on a Vikings Happy Hour
That would be
summer
fun.
show.
Yeah.
And then
And
you
you
get to
go,
see what everyone's up to.
right, and you can see starting out, this is the best new beginner. This is the best,
Yeah.
long time fan. This is whatever. Yeah, it sounds
Yeah.
good.
I just
We'll
need
write it
some
down in the
artwork,
note.
Dave. That's what I need. I need some of that artwork of yours.
It's easy. It's easy, brother. Just talk to me
So
what you want.
let's let's switch to a topic that is near and dear to everyone's hearts and will never go away as long as this man is on the roster. And I am here tonight to uh, profess my optimism as it pertains to Kirk Cousins. Um, is that going to keep? Okay. I thought it was going to keep going for a second there. So here it is. I am here to tell you why Kirk Cousins can lead the Vikings to the promised land. Are you ready?
All right, go for it.
So we have to rewind back a little bit, and this actually doesn't pertain to Kirk Cousins, but a year ago, a little over a year ago, when Matthew Stafford was traded to the Los Angeles Rams, Ryan's already got a smirk on his face. He's not even going to take me seriously. When Stafford was traded to the LA Rams, in summary, his 12-year totals or averages with the Detroit Lions, he averages 62.3 completion percent. I'm going to throw a bunch of stats at you guys right now, so just bear with me. 62.3% completion percentage. He averaged about 3,700 yards a season, 23 touchdowns, 12 picks, a 90 quarterback rating, and only 7.15 yards per attempt. Everybody says he is who he is. We know who Stafford is, right? He's a gritty, gunslinger, can't win the Super Bowl. Kirk Cousins is better than him, which I would still agree that Kirk Cousins is better than Matthew Stafford. But then Stafford goes to McVay and O'Connell. And what happens to all those stats that he had, his averages? Well, they all go up. 67.2 completion percentage, which is up from his average in Detroit. He jumped from 3,700 to 4,500 yards passing, 23 touchdowns to 38 touchdowns. He also threw more interceptions, but that's okay because more touchdowns came with it. He boosted his quarterback rating up to 101.8 with the Rams, and he increased his yards per attempt by one more yard. He's up to 8. So when I tell you things like that Stafford, a guy who is who he was. Everybody's like, he is who he is, and we know what he's going to do. Went out and played better under O'Connell and McVay. I sit here and I pose to you, Ryan, why can't Kirk Cousins do that?
Is the problem that Kirk Cousins has been playing quite poorly, or is the problem that our team is not set up for success?
Well, I think you could argue right now that the team is at least offensively is loaded. I mean, when you look at the offensive line, 2 bookend tackles now and 2 good guards, and we'll get to the center conversation after this because I'm high on potential this year. I'm ready to go. And then you look at the weapons around.
I mean, I'm optimistic too, man. I really am. Like, again, this is the time of the year to be optimistic, right? You just got new rookies coming in.
Yeah.
We haven't seen a lick of coverage in terms of how great or poorly they're playing on offseason workouts, right? So all we know is optimism at this point. But what my question is has Kirk Cousins played poorly last year, the year before, or has our team just not been set up for success because of a myriad of different things, one of them being that player's contract?
I don't think Kirk's contract affects Kirk's play.
Yeah, so
it doesn't. It doesn't affect Kirk's play, but it does affect it does affect our team in general,
right? And who we can sign and who we can put in front of him.
So what I'm getting to here, Matt, is that yes, Matt Stafford's play last year is about as average as what Kirk Cousins does, right? He typically puts up about 4,500-ish yards a season. He's completing about 70% of his passes. He's throwing up 30 plus touchdowns and 10 or less ish interceptions, right? Like, it's not that Kirk Cousins has played incredibly poorly, but what hasn't been the case is we're not set up for success right now, or we haven't been, I should say, right? You look at what Stafford walked into. He walked into having Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey on his team. Do we have that?
Maybe.
He walked into having Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods, and then eventually Odell Beckham Jr., Van Jefferson, one of the best left tackles in the game, pretty solid offensive line overall, and a decent running attack, right? Where, again, we have all those things. We have good receivers. We have a good tight end if he's healthy. We have a great running back. We have a really good offensive tackles, right? Hopefully Darisaw keeps up his trajectory.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's not all that different on offense, but what we don't have is why did the Rams win that Super Bowl? Because Aaron Donald made that play. Aaron Donald doesn't make that play, they're toast, right? Like, that's the difference. They have elite players, they have elite coaching. We might be able to get there, but they had a really good solid system on both sides of the ball. And I don't know if we're there yet. Not to say we won't be there, but I don't know if we're there yet.
But my question is do you think that Kirk Cousins can take that step that Stafford took?
I don't even think he needs to. From a pure volume perspective, right? Like, if we're talking raw stats, if we're just talking the raw stats you're talking about, he's already where Stafford's at after being with the Rams. So If he takes a step, sure, he can maybe be better. But what stats are we not talking about here? The important ones. We're not talking about third down efficiency, right? We're not talking about yards per attempt. I mean, which we were, I guess, with Stafford, but where that's at with Kirk. We're not talking about, the risks. Like, I don't care if you have a lower completion percentage and more interceptions. If you have the balls to take a look right, throw that ball, left into traffic and throw to Cooper Kupp to make a huge first down to hopefully get to the Super Bowl winning drive, right? Like, Kirk Cousins doesn't make that play. And that's the issue is, Kirk Cousins in a vacuum, if you look at raw stats, he's a great quarterback. He really is top 10 for sure. But it's those it factor plays that we miss from him. It's the I'm going to take a risk play, which he did take a few more last year, which I'll give him some kudos for. He threw that ball up to Thielen and Jefferson a couple times where I'm like, ooh, you probably should have thrown that, but I respect that because last year you weren't doing that, and we're losing opportunities when you don't give those guys a chance when they're one-on-one, right? Like he doesn't do that I think at a high enough clip for me to say he's better than Stafford, because I think Stafford has bigger balls.
But
So
is O'Connell the key to unlocking that more aggressive play? Yes,
I don't think so.
Because we did see a few more of those balls deep to Jefferson and Thielen last year, but we also saw plenty of runs where Jefferson's wide open, 10 yards past the defender, and Kirk's checking down to CJ Ham.
I think Kirk is who he is, though. I don't know necessarily if a coach is going to be able to
that's
coach
what
that
we
out
said
of him.
about Stafford.
Yeah, but we're not talking about a player's raw stats here that Stafford got better at. Stafford's always been who Stafford is. He just didn't have talent around him to be able to do what he did. Like he had
Stafford was always aggressive.
Yeah, he's always aggressive. Like it's a mindset mentality thing. Like you even look at, there's a clip I think Jason Brown, our fearless leader here, that posted a few months or a couple months back with O'Connell and Cousins talking, and Cousins is like, yeah, when we get this lead, I just don't like to be aggressive. I like to, play it safe. And then, I think O'Connell says something and Stafford's like, yeah, or it's not Stafford. Cousins is like, yeah, I just don't know. Right. Like it's just that mentality. It's that conservative mentality he has. I'm not talking politics here. I'm talking on the field play. It's that mentality that he has where, he wants to play it safe at all times. And sometimes you just don't have that ability and you need to grow a pair. And not to say he doesn't ever do that. He just doesn't do it enough, I think, to take this team to where it needs to be.
Well, Nicholas Boatwright said he has the arm talent to do it. And without a doubt, he does. I don't even argue that. He's got great arm talent, deep, intermediate, obviously short, i.e. check down passes, but he can hit anybody 45 yards, 50 yards down the field on a run. He's great at it. But I agree with Ryan, it's the mental thing, and that's always been my beef with him. But I'm hoping, like Matt said, Kevin O'Connell can unlock some of that, and that he does get more aggressive, and we go to a higher octane offense.
And here's the other thing about the Kirk stuff right now that leaves me feeling optimistic about it. This is the first time in Kirk Cousins' career where he is wanted, or at least perceived as wanted, right? Because when he was starting in Washington, he kind of wore out his welcome with the whole franchise tag, contract, whatever. People were ready to see him go. Ownership, kept signing him to the franchise tender, and of course you're going to sign it when you're making ridiculous money like that. But then he comes here to Minnesota. Somebody here wanted him, but Mike Zimmer certainly did not, which probably led to a lot of, I can't screw up because coach, I'm already on a short leash with coach. Like I can't continue.
He wasn't on no short leash, man. We were paying him $30 million a year. He was not on no short leash. He knew he had all the free reign to go and do whatever he wanted. Don't give me that short lease talk.
I'm serious
on
though.
On a fully guaranteed contract, no less.
Yeah, I'm not like he knew he wasn't getting no plug pulled on him. We had no. What, were you going to put Sean Mannion out there? No, he could be. Honestly, actually, if anything, Matt, he should have been the most aggressive at that point, because even if he did make mistakes, we had nothing else to go towards. You're not putting Sean Mannion out there. We saw what happened there. You had the most free reign. I know your coach is telling
he's gonna bench him.
Yeah, I know, but I know your coach is probably telling you, let's play conservative, let's run the ball, let's do whatever. Dude, if you're a leader, you think Aaron Rodgers, you think Tom Brady, whoever, name whatever quarterback you want, is like, yes, coach, I'm going to listen to you. We're going to just be super conservative. I won't put the ball in danger at all. No, you do what you need to do to win those games. And again, out of any year, I mean, even now he still probably has a pretty long leash comparatively, because unless Kellen Mond suddenly is this great player, like he still has nobody behind him.
Fingers
So like
crossed, right?
you have that ability to just be as aggressive as you wanted to be, and he chose to play the conservative route because what does that do for you? Because if you put up low interceptions and high touchdown numbers and put up good consistent numbers and high completion percentage, you get paid. And that's what Kirk's all about is I want my money. And that's fine. I'm not going to fault him for that. I want my money too if I can. So like I just don't see his mentality changing to become this a very aggressive player who's going to push the ball down the field consistently. Like you and Dave said, coaching does matter. But if you look back at what was that 2017 before he joined our team, he was, and with O'Connell as his OC, he still wasn't that aggressive, and he had decent receivers at that time. I think.
I'm just saying.
He finally bought a new car. And actually, I want to go back to a comment real quick. I think it was Mary. Mary, Cousins needs to go out and have some fun. If that ain't the truth,
but when you got
fun.
But maybe he didn't feel like he could have fun under Mike Zimmer. And whether or not he should have had a different mindset with a guaranteed contract like he had, feelings are justified. And if he felt like Mike...
You make a valid point. If you feel wanted, you might play better. You're right.
Like, do you perform better at work if you know that your boss supports you in everything that you do? Of course you do.
I perform either way because I'm getting paid, baby.
No. I mean,
yes, when you're valued and recognized, yes, you perform.
You feel better about being at work, sure, yeah. But either way, I'm going to perform.
You're able to roll with the punches a little bit more. But if you have a boss that's maybe overbearing, you're not gonna want to make a mistake, even if you make a lot of money. I mean, making a lot of money outside of the NFL.
Aren't you the one that wanted to keep Mike Zimmer here?
Yes, I did. And I still think that the flack that he is getting post being fired from
he's being a baller for the way he's holding that silence down, right? Like,
oh yes,
respect to him.
A wise man once said nothing at all, man. You know the Drake lyrics.
Yeah, prefer Kanye, but that's all right.
But no, what I'm trying to say, in all seriousness, is it's
Joseph. That has to be the remark of the night. Thank you.
All I'm trying to say is, this is a time to be hopeful for the season. It's to look.
Hey Matt, blink twice if you're safe.
It's a time to be hopeful for the upcoming season, and I think that Viking fans should be hopeful right now. We're not rebuilding. We are competitively rebuilding, but they have shown us that they are ready to go all in on this season again, and I think they proved that in the draft. They proved that with retaining Patrick Peterson and bringing in some free agents as well. And so I think when you compile all that, even the players at OTAs are talking about the fresh, fun energy at practice. And I know it's all kind of hearsay, right? What else are they going to say? It's miserable? No, they're not going to go out and say that. But what I'm trying to say is that I think we have reason to be optimistic heading into this season. And I think Kirk Cousins, are you ready for this, Dave? He's sitting down. I think Kirk Cousins could lead us to the Super Bowl.
Oh, boy.
All right. I knew this was coming, right? I did artwork for it today, as you saw on the promo and the clip with the Vikings and the Lombardi versus the Buffalo Bills. It's the rubber match.
Oh,
who gets to 0-5 first?
You're going to kill me with that, though, because that means we're going up against Diggs.
Well, hey, yes, Diggs' revenge game. You got Phillips' revenge game on our side.
Leslie Frazier revenge game.
Oh, yeah, plenty of storylines. The NFL would love it for all the storylines that there was. If he can make the Super Bowl, and theoretically, that's possible. That would be amazing. I'll help design the statue, the whole works.
Oh, there's no statue, cool. Man.
If he wins,
I'm not going that far.
Oh, if he
He'll
wins
get
the
a
Super Bowl,
statue. If he
he'll
wins
get a
us the Super
statue.
Bowl, he's getting a statue for sure.
But when I heard it, I'm trying to remember which show I heard it on. New coaches make the playoffs their first season. It's just barely over 25% of the time. And to me, that number seemed high.
That's a pretty good number. That's pretty good odds, yeah.
Yeah, it's 1-4. So that's not bad. So,
Why not us?
but when it gets
Why
to
not us?
how many don't win that first round and are out, that takes up just about all of them. Right? I don't think there's been a rookie head coach that's made it to a Super Bowl. The only one I can think of is
Freddie Brad
that's
Johnson
wrong.
had like one of the best defenses ever to lead him there. Like
Well,
you're right.
no,
There's
it's
quarterbacks that made and won the Super Bowl that Kirk Cousins are significantly better than, but the team makes a difference, and we don't have that defense.
right.
But that's okay. I mean, I'm going to be optimistic.
I can think Jimmy Johnson when he left the Cowboys and Barry Switzer came in. Barry Switzer, I think, went his first year. But can you think of any others that went their first year? It's extremely, extremely tight. Do I hope it happens? Oh, hell yes. I'm not going to live forever. I want to see one before I die, baby.
Yeah.
I hope Kevin O'Connell unlocks that aggressive gene. I hope, as Freddie's been saying, the new van, the gray one was the Gray Ghost. The new one is what's his name? The Wizard, the White, and Gandalf the White.
Yeah.
I hope. Hey, anything can happen, and plus the season is random. There's a whole bunch of injury. Luck, not luck. I do think we improved that injury luck factor by getting a sports science guy. We have a new staff that way. That's going to help. There's different things. There's different way. The schedule plays out. I think we've got a good schedule the way it's scheduled. With 9 home games, 7 away games, and the 1 neutral site game. I think things can go right. If you want hope and positivity, yes, things can go right. And then take the rest of our division. Aaron Rodgers could be washed, pissed off because he has no one to throw to. And Detroit, and Chicago looks like a dumpster fire. So we got to get to the, to that final stage. And I think that can happen.
Yeah, so, I mean, and again, let's sit here and just say this though, right? Like, this whole topic, this whole conversation really got started around Kirk Cousins, right? Like, can he take us there? Can he improve enough to get us to where we need to be? I don't think, and I know there's people that are listening to this are probably gonna be like, "What the heck is he talking about?" Because he's talked, awful things on Kirk Cousins' name over the years. I don't think Kirk Cousins is the problem. The player, Kirk Cousins, is not the problem. The contract will eventually continue to be a problem unless we can hit on these draft picks like the Rams have been able to do over the last few years, right? Like hitting on those later round picks, right? If you can develop a team that way and not need to go spend big money on big free agents and be able to keep your own guys that are worth keeping, you can do it. The Rams are proof of it. There's other teams that have been proof of being able to be a high quality team while paying a quarterback a lot of money. I don't think Kirk Cousins is the problem from the player on the field standpoint outside of his aggressiveness. I think he needs to be more aggressive. Hopefully our coaching staff will be able to unleash that in him. I don't think it will happen. I don't think that's in his DNA, but hopefully they can get there. The issue is we need to build up this defense. We need to build up the interior line. We might have done it. Chris Reed, I'm very positive on him. Ed Ingram, I think he could be quality. Ezra Cleveland is solid. And to our next topic, our center needs to improve, in my opinion, and we'll get to that topic here in a second. But our offense is there. Our offense is there. We can do it. Our defense needs to improve. Last year was one of the worst in the league. I think it's made major strides already this year in terms of replacing an often hurt Anthony Barr, by bringing in some talent at cornerback, by drafting a high octane safety that's going to be a tone setter for this team, by drafting an Oklahoma player that I'm super excited about. Like there's going to be value in this defense that can continue to improve, and I'm excited to see it. But we need to see that production improve on the field, and by golly, I'm super confident in Ed Donatel and his ability to do that with this team. So I'm excited. I have a similar optimism. I don't think Super Bowls necessarily this year, but I do have optimism that this team's going to improve from that 8-9 that we had.
He's in on it, folks. Ryan believes. I mean, I did say this was going to be a shorter show, but every time we hop on, we just can't stop talking.
But why not the Super Bowl, Ryan?
Why not?
Take the NFC. Right? What teams are you afraid of in the NFC?
You need a lot to happen right to make it to the Super
Well,
Bowl.
but that can happen.
Why not us?
You're right. Why not us? We have to get through a Tom Brady-led Tampa team that's still pretty damn good. We have to beat an Aaron Rodgers team,
but we almost beat him last year.
You're right. We have to beat an Aaron Rodgers led team which we've done oftentimes, but we have to beat them in the Super or in the playoffs.
We also almost beat Tampa.
You know,
in Tampa.
You have the Niners who are solid. You have the Rams who are solid and Super Bowl champs. You have I think you're going to have teams that get better like the Cardinals. You have teams that are going to get better. I'm drawing a blank on specific teams. The Eagles, I think, are going to be a really sneaky team because their defense is solid enough, and they have a offensive style that hurts teams like us that need the ball to be effective. And when they can run the ball the way they can because of their quarterback and their run game, and they can do some clock management, basically that's Mike Zimmer's dream, is that team right now. So and I think Jalen Hurts takes another step, and they just traded for AJ Brown. You have Devontae Smith on his second year. I mean, you got some teams that are going to be getting better as we need to continue to get better. It's not going to be a cakewalk, but you're right. Why not us? It is possible. I'm not going to sit here and drink the Kool-Aid all in. I'm not ready to die on this hill, but I am sitting here saying with this coaching staff, with this team, especially this offensive unit, I think we can be a high quality team.
Well, let's get to the last topic I have, which I think will be a key person to watch in this upcoming season, and his name is Garrett Bradbury. 5th-year option declined. I think a lot of fans have felt disappointed by his play through 3 years, and this is likely to be his last season. Now, I'm gonna
with the Vikings.
Yes.
He'll get rid of his ass. He shouldn't even be starting this year. I'm not going to even let you get to your question. This dude is garbage. I'm sick of Garrett Bradbury. I had high hopes because my best friend is an NC State fan. He loves NC State. He hyped up Garrett Bradbury to the nines, and this dude came in and was a turnstile on pass protection. I love what he does in the run game on pass. And sure, yes, a new coaching staff makes everyone better, whatever. No, we need to get somebody who can pass protect in that center position.
Well, that's why I bring this up, because again, much like Matt Stafford and Kirk Cousins with the whole Kevin O'Connell effect, I'm going to introduce somebody else. His name's Brian Allen. He was the Rams' starting center. And in 2019, Brian Allen was PFF's 34th ranked center. He ranked 2 spots ahead of Garrett Bradbury that year. He missed 2020 because of an injury. But who came along in 2020 to the LA Rams? Well,
Austin Blythe.
It was Kevin O'Connell.
Oh, sure.
Kevin O'Connell.
Yeah, but who was the O-line coach?
That doesn't fit my narrative, Dave.
But that's what matters.
who entered in 2020. It was Kevin O'Connell. And what did Brian Allen do in his first year under Kevin O'Connell as offensive coordinator? Well, he was the 10th ranked center by Pro Football Focus. So why can't Garrett Bradbury make that same jump? And that's the question I pose to you tonight.
Because he cannot block a defensive tackle that's over 300 pounds.
But it's not even just that though, because a lot of their measurables, Brian Allen and Garrett Bradbury, are about the same. In
Measurables
fact,
doesn't matter. It's play strength, it's anchor, it's a technique. There's so much more that goes into it than measurables. Garrett Bradbury has proven for 3 straight years that if you put anyone over 300 pounds on him one-on-one, he's going to fold like a picnic table, and he is going to get our quarterback hurt, right? Like, he's not good. And sure, you can sit here and give me all of this narrative. I love it. I know it's the point of the show. I get it. We got to create intrigue around a topic around a Garrett Bradbury or whomever. They didn't pick up his option for a reason, because he's garbage. We need to replace him because he's garbage. I wanted Creed Humphrey last year. We'd be set up for success right now. We didn't do it. We need to give an opportunity to one of these guys, or go sign JC Treader right away and not deal with this another year, because part of the reason Kirk Cousins cannot be as successful as you want him to be and put him into this Matt Stafford-like ascension to the Super Bowl is that center position. And no, it doesn't matter how good that guard play is around him. If you can scheme up a way to get him one-on-one with a defensive tackle, he's going to fold. And then you have you're in a compromised position. Somebody's going to have to come off and help. That's going to allow somebody else to get in. Kirk Cousins panics under pressure. That's where he's his worst as a quarterback. Clean pocket, Kirk Cousins is one of the best quarterbacks in the league, probably top 5. But outside of a clean pocket, he stinks.
Damn.
So we cannot allow that to happen.
I guess we don't even have to play the season this year. We can just, Ryan already knows what's going to happen.
Well, now there's a lot of things I agree with.
Dave agrees with me. It's not even like I'm wrong here.
Why did you guys have watched my shows? Why did I like Ed Ingram so much?
Great pass blocker.
His technique is sound. How he pass blocks, especially on pass blocking. Garrett actually may be a better run blocker, but pass blocking, however, Ed Ingram loves to finish run blocks like no other. He's a punisher. I love that. But on pass blocking, Ed Ingram has great technique. He keeps his weight over the balls of the feet. He keeps his feet constantly moving. When a defensive lineman gets close, he's in the perfect position. He does his shot, stuns, tries to stand them up. It keeps his feet moving, and he constantly gets like that. I've explained when it comes to Bradbury. Bradbury pass blocking takes a step, plants, and then the defensive lineman hits him and knocks him over center. It's a leverage and balance thing. It's a technique thing. If our new offensive line staff, with the influence of the guards next to him, can teach him better technique, he will not get forklifted into Kirk Cousins' lap as much as he has in the past. It's an if. I'm hoping that's the case because they seem to be sticking with Garrett Bradbury at center. And the key is he can be small and he can be good, but he's got to get his technique down and learn how to do it. And that's just one sore point. If you look at him in run blocking, he's good. He's constantly grades in the 70s. When you look at his pass blocking, he's lucky to make 50, right? And
Garrett
60.
Bradbury's new nickname for me is Pallet because he gets forklifted like a pallet constantly. No, I am done. I am sick and tired of it. I am done. I don't care how much optimism you two want to spew on me on Garrett Bradbury.
I'm not saying there's optimism. I'm saying there's a possibility.
I'll buy into the O'Connell steam. I'll buy into everything else you're trying to sell today, Matt. I will not buy into any Garrett Bradbury garbage. And you can clip this. You can throw that out on the internet. If I'm wrong, I will eat crow happily. But there is zero chance that guy is a high level contributor. And I think it was Anthony. He put out here in the comments that why don't we give Hinton a chance? Anyone's better than Bradbury at this point, in my opinion.
Hinton's not
And
good. Sorry.
what we're sitting here with, which I'm very excited about, is a clean slate. We don't have Rick Spielman sitting here saying, well, that was my first round pick, you have to play him, or trying to justify anything. All these guys get a fresh set of eyes. Sure, they like Garrett Bradbury because he's a good run blocker. We're still going to run the ball. He probably will play center. If they can't figure out how to fix that anchor, which I don't think that's something you can fix with him, we're drafting a center or we're signing JC Treader. Like, we have to do one of the two.
All I want to say is, for everybody listening right now or watching, this is coming from the guy who stanned Drew Samia. So take that for what it's worth.
I did. You come out of college and you play the way he did in college, you're going to stand him.
I was hyping Drew Samia too, because that boy had.
I also hyped up
some anger
Bradbury
issues
when he came out of college too. And what did that happen? So maybe you just don't listen to my offensive line advice when they're coming out of college, because clearly it hasn't worked well. Except for I did have Darrisaw over Rashawn Slater, which is obviously a fail, but hopefully I'm right on him in terms of him being quality.
I think so.
I've put my purple Kool-Aid down. I'm ready to reason with you a little bit, but we'll pick that up on the next episode.
Brian says no fifth year means competition at the position, and Bradbury will not win it. We'll see. And no fifth year also means he's fighting for a next contract, which may be the little bit of motivation he needs. Because nobody wants to pay him
to have a better technique against that bull rush. We'll see. If he has been holding that back for his contract year, then the hell with him is anyway. Like, God, I'm so mad at him. I hate him so much.
Hey, no. Also,
I don't hate. I just dislike him.
Game Changer 16's thrown in the. He's freaking me out in the chat. He's like, you got someone looking at you through your window.
I think he's thinking that you're being held hostage for all the Kool-Aid you're drinking tonight.
Yeah, well, really, it's just water. So this is just
Joe Spinoza. Is that who somebody said earlier?
Yeah, Joe Spinoza earlier. Yes. Freddie asked over and under 8.5 wins.
Oh man,
over.
She was hot. Yeah, I think this team can get to 10 wins, pretty easily. So I'll go over with Ryan on that. That we'll bring the over under game back this year. Have a little fun with that as well. But I think that wraps it for a show. I think we knocked off some rust, and we had some fun with the conversations. And that's all the time that the off season's for is for the fun fodder. And I don't want to steal it from our friends over there, but the reckless speculation, it's all about, we don't have anything to critique quite yet until we get the pads on. So we'll keep doing this until we get to that point. So for everybody that was in the chat tonight, thank you for firing it up and listening. And if you're listening to this on the podcast, I appreciate that as well. We are going to be switching to an every other week show, so until training camp. So you can find us back here in a couple weeks. June 8th, we will be back for another episode, and we'll make sure it's loaded with tons of content. I'd also be remiss if I didn't give a shout out to our sponsor, Lake Monster Brewing. If you're here in the cities or at your local liquor store in the cities, go grab some Lake Monster or check out their patio. The weather is warm. Spring and summer are upon us, and there's no better place than that Lake Monster patio with the water tower sitting out front. It's fantastic. So make sure you head over there. Ryan,
this is delicious on a patio. I can guarantee it. It's delicious in my living room. So
I have that. I have it in a crowler. It's very good. So, Ryan, thanks for hopping on again this week. Dave, thank you for producing I'll let you send the show off, and also make sure you answer Freddie's question in the chat. Thank you, everybody.
Freddie, contact me some way, direct message, Facebook, Twitter, even on YouTube. I'll post the image I created today. Tomorrow you can see me there. If you post it, it comes under Climb in the Pocket, but I'm the one that's generally running that. If I'm not, Matt can shoot me a message, and we can hook up and talk about what you're looking for, what I already have, and then do stuff like that. So with that, Saturday, we have Darren and I. We are going to continue with our show, Two Old Bloggers. I haven't a clue what we're going to talk about this week. Probably hit up on the OTAs, what's been going on. Maybe go over the stupid uniform number changes. It's going to get weird to see guys out there in certain numbers for us old timers, graybeards. But who knows? Let's see. I'll talk to Darren and find out. And until then, what do we say?
Skol Vikes.
Skol Vikes.
Skol Vikings! Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, and ring the bell, and rate us on your favorite aggregator. And a special shout out goes to our partners, the Daily Norseman, where the best Vikings content can be found, and to Lake Monster Brewing, home of the best beer in Minnesota. Skol, everybody.